Hello, and welcome to another Alice Cooper review. Today we'll be going to the Madhouse in this album of 1978, From the Inside. Now, From the Inside is basically a concept album dealing with the mental institution that he himself was put into at this time for drying out. 3 of the songs are about him. The rest of them are kind of like characters and stuff that, would possibly be in an insane asylum. So let's go ahead and get started with From the Inside. Now, From the Inside is indeed a song about Alice Cooper. It talks about how he was up on stage, and partying all night or partying all day long and rocking the house all night long, and basically how his lifestyle was. He'd propose a toast to Jimmy's ghost, meaning Jimi Hendrix and all these other people who had tragically died. But it's kind of like his lifestyle, before, and then all of a sudden he's found deep within a mental institution. Like, that's basically what the song is. Like, talking about how he lived, and then bam, he's there. Good song. It was one of the hits. There's 2 hits on this album. This was one of them. A very catchy song. Moving on, there's Wish I Were Born in Beverly Hills. I always think of a cross-dresser when I think of this song. I'm not really sure why, but it always talks about, I wish I lived in Beverly Hills. I swear I couldn't drink half as much as she spills. And it's basically this idea behind, like, my life isn't perfect, but I want to have that chick's life because that chick's life is perfect. And, maybe taking, a few steps towards having that life. And it's talking about that kind of life, like wanting her mother's lover and that kind of thing. Very kind of strange stuff. Good song, though. Next is The Quiet Room, which is another one that I believe is Alice Cooper, from the persona of Alice Cooper. And this album has a lot to do with his drying out, from alcohol, which I'm not sure if any of you guys know out there, but drying out from alcohol means what's called DTs, Dermans Tremens. I can't remember what it's actually called, but it's called DTs. And it's some very scary stuff. I've seen it quite a few times in my own personal life with people around me, and it can be some scary stuff, including hallucinations, suicide, shaking, irritability, mood changes. All these things fall under this category when they're drying out from alcohol. And The Quiet Room is basically Alice Cooper in the quiet room because he tried to kill himself. Now, I'm not sure if he actually tried to kill himself while he's in the mental institution. I don't have that kind of information. But what I do know is that this song is very good, and it's one of those songs where you really feel the emotion there. And, it's about, how he can't kill himself. Can't get his wrists to bleed, that kind of thing. Good song, though. Moving on to Nurse Rosetta. Now, I always think this is a song about a pastor or some sort of religious figure and this really hot nurse, and how this pastor, who's supposed to be all, almighty and celibate and stuff, ends up, falling for this nurse and, calling her Jezebel and all this other things. And it's a really fun song, though. It's definitely one of those songs that has some, like, definite sexual connotation to it. And it's pretty much straightforward, like, whereas other Alice Cooper ones are kind of behind, where if you don't really catch it, then you wouldn't notice. This one's straight out in front. Then there's Millie and Billy, which is a duet, which he never, to my knowledge, he just never given credit to the female voice. I don't know if it's his wife Cheryl Cooper or who it is, but he never gives kudos. But Millie and Billy is basically about these 2 insane lovers. Like, they're in love and they're insane, and so they kill Millie's husband, and they're talking about how their children would be disgusting and gross. I love this song. It's an awesome duet, and like, very few Alice Cooper songs are true duets like this one is. Like, $1 Billion Babies wasn't really a duet. It was kind of just, 2 different people singing the song. This is really a true duet because it's going back and forth like a dialogue. It's a very good song, though. I absolutely love it. Sirius. Sirius is about a gambler, and, like a recluse gambler, and he, kept playing and playing and playing, and all of a sudden he's racked up this huge debt, and they took him out. and so he ended up at a mental institution because he has a gambling problem. Now this is before, you know, like the 5-star retreats for, you know, celebrities to go sober up. I'm not talking about one of those. I'm talking about a serious mental institution, insane asylum that he checked himself into, because that's all there was back then. They dealt with the alcohol cases and stuff. This is before they separated those things. So, you know, he met some serious... I'm not sure if he actually met these characters or not, but he came out with this album after being in there for only 72 hours and had this amazing album with all these different kinds of characters on him. So I'm not sure if he thought of them because he was in there or if he actually met some people like this. I don't know. But it's a really good song. This one's also a really good song about a gambler. How You Gonna See Me Now is the last song that has to deal with Alice Cooper himself. And this one is the other hit on the album. And also, this is a very important song because it is based on a letter that he wrote his wife, Cheryl Cooper. After, you know, being in the 72 hours and stuff, he wrote his wife saying, "Hey, I'm a different man now. I don't know if you're gonna still love me." And this letter was later turned into a song called How You Gonna See Me Now. And that's exactly what the song's about. You know, he's awkward and afraid, and you know the times have changed, and he's different, and he's scared that she's not gonna love him anymore. Obviously, if you look at the history of Alice Cooper, they've survived 34 or 35 years already, and so I think they're going to continue 35 more years. But it was a very scary point for him, and so it makes a very heartfelt song, and yes, it was indeed a hit. So moving on, we're going to go to Veronica's Sake. Now, this is a guy who's in the mental institution, but all I can really think about is his dog that he left behind in the city pound when they took him away. So it's like this whole idea that, you know, he's chained up and so is she, and it's a good song, you know, it's very rockish, but that's what it's about, you know, like a guy and his dog. And so then there's Jackknife Johnny, which always makes me think of, you know, Vietnam vets, which would fit about this time, you know, 78 of course. You know, someone comes home with shell shock, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a real condition. At that time, it wasn't really thought of as a real condition. It was thought of as shell shock. And, you know, he couldn't function. Like, he kept having flashbacks. He kept, you know, so he's in the mental institution. And, you know, it talks about how he's in jail while all of his other buddies are sleeping in boxes. Which, you know, it's kind of political, which Alice Cooper doesn't really do political very often. But it is kind of political for the time. Nowadays we can look at it, you know, as, you know, but we have better health care for these kinds of people now. But it's a sad song. It's a good song though. Again, there's a female voice in the background who, as far as I know, is not identified. If anyone can identify them though, that'd be great. So then we have Inmates We're All Crazy. Inmates We're All Crazy is basically a summarization. I always think of it as the ending credits to this album because it fits so well. You know, you'd see names rolling during the song, and it's basically the idea that the inmates, you know, we're crazy, you know, but we're not really that crazy. We're just misconstrued people, you know. We may have burned down the church with people inside, but, you know, who wouldn't? And so it's that kind of a song, and it's very ending credit-like. Just the flow of the melody is very ending credit-like. So there's that. And that's the whole album. My favorite song, I'd have to say, is probably either Millie and Billy or The Quiet Room. I really love The Quiet Room, just because it touches me. But they're all very good songs, and they all very well fit together in the idea of a concept album, just like Alice Cooper Goes to Hell does. They're all neat and tidy and all together for one album. Very good album. I suggest it to everybody. Beginning, medium, expert Alice Cooper fan, I suggest it to all of you. I love it, and I think it's a great album. So thank you for watching, and thank you for listening, and tune in next time for Flush the Fashion 1980. Thank you very much.